Marriage has always been a human rights battleground on which our nation has grappled with larger questions about what kind of country we are going to be. As a nation, we have made changes in the institution of marriage and fought over these questions of whether America is committed to both equality and freedom. Our nation has struggled with important questions on the human rights battlefield of marriage, and we are met on that battlefield once again. This is an excerpt from a 2005 keynote speech given by Evan Wolfson at the National Lesbian and Gay Law Association's Lavender Law. Wolfson presents us with the necessary reminder that citizens once again have the opportunity to redefine the principles of equality and freedom through the institution of marriage. Marriage is more than just a union between two people. It is an institution that symbolizes the values of the society in which it exists. By banning same-sex marriage, we as a country are creating a notion that members of the LGBT community are only second-class citizens, undeserving of the same rights offered to heterosexual citizens under the law. Thus, I affirm that same-sex marriage should be the top priority in the LGBT civil rights movement. I will demonstrate this affirmative through 3 points. Legalizing same-sex marriage will 1. Eliminate the notion that members in the LGBT community are second-class citizens, 2. Create an opportunity for the LGBT community to gain equal rights in other areas, and 3. Result in children better understanding the principle of equality. The legalization of same-sex marriage will open the door for the LGBT community to gain equal rights in other areas, such as employment and adoption. These other issues cannot be achieved until the LGBT community is granted the basic right to marriage. The effects of this ban on marriage are far-reaching and psychologically harm all citizens of this country, as Gender and Women's Studies professor Joan Callahan states in her 2009 article, Same-Sex Marriage, Why It Matters, at least for now. By refusing to respect our intimate relationships as it respects heterosexual relationships, the state participates in and substantially contributes to systematic homophobia and heterosexism, which harm sexual and gender minorities in many, many ways. These harms are not just symbolic harms. They are substantial material harms ranging from subtle social inclusions through unjust financial burdens and even to aggravated assault and murder. While some adults may be able to understand and reject this ideology, one group of society that cannot escape these prejudices is children. Many critics of same-sex marriage claim that its legalization will cause children to become confused while they're forming their own sexual identity. However, these same critics fail to recognize that the impacts of banning same-sex marriage are far more harmful to children. It is the failure to recognize the rights of the LGBT community that have the most damaging effects on society. According to a 2011 article on Pediatrics Digest, at least 47% of gay and lesbian teens have seriously considered suicide, and 36% have actually attempted suicide. Similarly, children whose parents are of the same gender may experience social marginalization and become the objects of ridicule and harassment by other children and adults who do not understand or who disapprove of gay and lesbian parenting. Children often reject or make fun of a concept that they find confusing or unfamiliar. In this sense, children's attitudes can shed light on the beliefs of a society or culture. The isolation and discrimination gay and lesbian teens face is proof that we must take action to redefine the principles of freedom and equality that Wolfson spoke of in his speech. How can parents teach children to treat others as equals if the laws in their society are unable to do the same? According to Pediatrics Digest, children born to and raised by lesbian couples seem to develop in ways that are indistinguishable from children raised by heterosexual parents. It's the ideology, not the sexual orientation of a child parent that will affect the way the child views the world. Therefore, legalizing same-sex marriage will actually have positive effects on children because it will prove that heterosexuals and members of the LGBT community are equal under the law, eliminating the contradicting notion that the U.S. is based on freedom and equality, but refuses to treat its citizens as such. The increasing number of court cases related to the legalization of same-sex marriage is proof that people are asking for and ready for this change to occur. One example is Windsor versus United States, a case in which the federal government refused to acknowledge the marriage between Eddie Windsor and Thea Spire due to DOMA. Windsor's inheritance from Spires was taxed, even though their marriage was recognized in New York State. The fact that same-sex marriage is legal in certain states, such as Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Vermont, proves that the LGBT community's pursuit of the legalization of same-sex marriage is a probable goal that will achieve the most success in the shortest amount of time. In order for the LGBT civil rights movement to gain supporters and momentum, it's important that they encounter success early on, and the legalization of same-sex marriage can offer just that. As Wolfson stated in his speech, the U.S. is once again fighting on the human rights battlefield. As a country, we have achieved success on this battlefield through the civil rights and women's rights movements. If we wish to uphold the core principles of equality and freedom, we must focus on the current fight for equal rights in the LGBT community, and legalizing same-sex marriage ensures that this human rights battle can